Hello and welcome to the continuation of basic printing methods. My groupmate already covered the letterpress gravure, so in this video, we are going to focus on three methods: the offset lithography, silkscreen printing, and the basics of color printing. So by the end, you'll be able to describe what offset lithography is, the silkscreen printing, and also explain how color printing works. Now let's start first with the offset lithography. Today, most commercial printing uses offset lithography. Planographic printing um, is actually means that the image only sits on a flat plate. That's why it's called offset, because the paper does not touch the plate directly. The plate first transferred the image to a rubber blanket, then the blanket transferred the image to the paper. So today, most commercial printing jobs are done through offset lithography. It's because it's economical. Now, when I say that, offset lithography is one of the most common ways of creating printed materials. So, its common applications include newspapers, magazines, brochures, stationery, books, or any other printing materials that is being printed by volumes or large numbers of pieces or copies. Now, compared to other printing methods, offset printing is best suited for economically producing large volumes of high quality prints in a manner that also requires a little maintenance. Why little maintenance? Because I told you earlier that the paper doesn't touch directly in contact to the roller blades. It is just the image just being transferred through a blanket. But anyway, for the full process, I'm going to show you now. So for this, first, the stack of papers is lifted into position. A sheet separation unit separates the paper with jets of air or a vacuum that ensure that only one sheet is sent through the press at any time. As the press plate rotates, its first point of contact is the dampening unit. This has a mixture of water and other chemicals. This dampens the non-image area of the press plate, and the press plate then passes what we call the inking unit. And it starts from the ink fountain. The ink will pass through the multiple rollers called a roller train, which then sticks to an image area of the press plate. It is then passed to the blanket cylinder, which squeezes the water and the inked image area is picked up. It is then passed to the final cylinder called the impression cylinder. Now, the paper runs between the impression cylinder and the blanket cylinder, pressing the image onto the paper. Now, the paper will then run through the transfer drums. Each cylinder is equipped with grippers that pick up the paper from the previous cylinder and transfer it to the next. So once the print have passed through each unit, they will then be dried with hot and cool air and placed on the delivery pile. And that is the process of offset lithographic printing. So as you can see, it's a lot of process, step by step, a lot of rollers to be used. However, the most significant information in there is that the image doesn't touch the printing plate. Now, let's talk about silkscreen printing. This is the second one. Now, silkscreen printing is also called serigraphy. It uses a stencil, sheet, or a mesh screen. Serigraphy or silkscreen printing transfers an image onto a surface through a silk screen using the basic technique in stenciling. When it's stenciling, it's where you probably etch, some parts of a paper or any flat surface, so that when you put the colors, the colors will just go through that specific etched paper, and the picture will be printed. But anyway, let's watch this. Let's pause this. Now, this is what we call the mesh screen. This one, and this is the frame. So this is the frame that you're going to use to print your particular image. This is the squeegee. The squeegee. This is where it is where you're going to press the image itself and paint onto the surface of this mesh screen. This is also the equipment or the tool that you're going to make sure that the paint is being spread all over the mesh screen. There you go. Now, this is the color. So it says here that when we say screen printing, screen printing excels at bold spot colors and opaque inks. So usually all black, all red, all green, depending on your design. But you can mix it. However, um, in a separate silk screen. Okay. Now let's take a look at this example. This will be our bag that we're going to print using the silk screen method. There you go. Now, this is an example of a stencil. So as you can see, this is a paper, a normal paper, and you etched some and remove some parts of the paper in order for you to create your design. This is the stenciling technique. And then you're going to place this paper onto the frame, and under that is our mesh screen. Then we are going to put the ink. Okay, place your frame, the mesh screen, and the stencil on top of, let's say, a cloth or anything that you would like to print on. Okay, like I said, you're going to use the squeegee to squeeze the ink all throughout the mesh screen, and as you can see, the ink will pass through the etched or stenciled paper, and when you use the squeegee, there you go. It has already been squeezed, and make sure that it can cover all the etched design. Then after that, here you go. You're going to remove very slowly, the frame, and make sure that you're really going to be careful because there are some inks that could stain your cloth or anything that you would like to print on. So as you can see here, we have a problem. So that's still screen printing. Usually being done through jerseys and whatnot. So there you go. Just a recap from the previous reports until my report, we have four major types of printing methods: the planography, the relief, the intaglio, and the stencil. So the planography prints what it's drawn on a flat surface. For example, offset lithography. So just think about a stamp, something like that. Now, relief prints what remains raised. For example, the letterpress. Yeah, the stamps. As you can see, this is the etched one. The black one will be the part where the color will remain when you press that into a design. Now here, for the intaglio, it prints what is processed. So for example, the gravure printing. This is the etched one. However, this will have the ink that is going to be pressed and also printed to the material. And the last one, the stencil, prints through open areas in a screen because of the stenciling methods, like what we've seen earlier for our silk screen printing. Printed colored materials is done, differently from printing black and white, because the colors of an image, for example, are broken down into four basic colors. So in your computer, probably you are familiar with the CMYK, right? Because full printing breaks images into four processes inks or four process inks. So we have cyan, magenta, the yellow, and black, CMYK. Right. Now, these tiny dots of CMYK is being combined to form many colors. The machine is doing that for us. If what is being registered to the computer, the machine is doing that for us. So this requires extra step, plates or screens maybe, and careful registration of the image to the computer or any other processing device, which is why full color printings costs more than black and white. So in this video, this is just a very simple explanation how machine combines all those colors into different colors. So we have here the blue and yellow. We're going to mix it, and it will give us green. So blue and magenta. Okay, it will give us white. See, so it's like what I'm discussing earlier, that if we're going to use a machine, lithographic printing, or any plates will do, tiny dots of those particular ink on that machine, is going to be mixed to the others. So that's why it can, come up with a different color. There are advanced techniques when it comes to manual mixing of these colors if you would like to print using the silk screen method. Um, However, that's going to be a bit, advanced or difficult. But artists can easily do that, especially those people who paints and all. However, that's not going to be very easy because it needs some training. Anyway, that ends my discussion on the basic types of printing. I hope you learned something. And additional discussions will be posted on this forum together with this video. So thank you very much, and have a good day to all of you.